Namaskar and very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. To begin today's session on a truly auspicious note, I request our esteemed dignitaries to kindly come forward for the lighting of the lamp and thereafter join us on the dais. Please welcome Dr. Karan Singh, Eminent Statesman and Philosopher, Professor Bindu Puri from the Center for Philosophy, Jawaharlal Nehru University, Professor Dr. K.G. Suresh, Director, India Habitat Center. Now I request Professor Dr. K.G. Suresh, Director, India Habitat Center. Now I request Professor Dr. K.G. Suresh, Director, India Habitat Center, to kindly present the mementos as a humble token of our deep gratitude and appreciation to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Karan Singh. Thank you, sir. Once again, Namaskar and very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Bharat Bodh Kendra, Habitat Library and Research Center, India Habitat Center, and the Indian Council of Philosophical Research, I extend a warm welcome to all present for the next lecture in the IHC ICPR Study Circle lecture series titled Vedanta Today. This is one of the many initiatives taken by Professor Dr. K.G. Suresh, Director of the India Habitat Center, to foster meaningful conversations around India's knowledge systems, culture, and heritage. It is a privilege to welcome our distinguished speaker, Dr. Karan Singh, Eminent Statesman and Philosopher. We are also honored by the presence of Professor Bindu Puri, Co-Convenor of this series, from the Center for Philosophy, Jawaharlal Nehru University. We are honored by the presence of Professor Dr. K.G. Suresh, Director, India Habitat Center, who is chairing today's session. We warmly welcome all our esteemed guests and sincerely thank them for joining us this evening. Before I invite Vijay to the dais and request him to kindly take the proceedings further, I would like to recite a profound shloka from Ishavasya Upanishad. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Over to you, Vijay.
Good evening, everyone. I extend a warm welcome to this gathering on the occasion of the 5th lecture of IHC ICPR Study Circle. It is my privilege to formally introduce the convener of the study circle, Professor K.G. Suresh. Professor Suresh is a distinguished journalist, academician, and influential voice in media and mass communication. He currently serves as the director of the India Habitat Center, New Delhi. In his transition to academia, Professor Suresh served as the director of IIMC Delhi and was appointed vice chancellor of the Mathurlal Chaturvedi National University of Journalism. We are honored to have him with us today. With great pleasure, I now invite Professor Suresh to give the welcome address.
Thank you, Vijay. Namaskar and a very good evening to all the distinguished guests, dignitaries, scholars, and dear friends. It's my great pleasure and privilege to welcome you all to this special evening at the India Habitat Center. On behalf of the Bharat Bodh Kendra and the India Habitat Center, I extend our heartfelt thanks to the IHC ICPR Study Circle for organizing this important lecture series. This has been organized under the aegis of the Habitat Learning and Research Center. And as most of you esteemed members are aware, we started this series almost 6 months back. And this is a collaboration between the India Habitat Center and the Indian Council for Philosophical Research. And Bharat Bodh Kendra, as you are aware, is a dedicated segment within the library and also aims to promote Indian culture, civilization, tradition, history, folk arts through different programs. So we have many series, including the Sanlab series and the IHC ICPR study circle. A special word of gratitude to our co-convenor, Professor Bindu Puri from the Center for Philosophy, Jawaharlal Nehru University, for her valuable contribution in conceptualizing and organizing this session. Friends, Vedanta is not merely an ancient philosophy. It is a living tradition that continues to offer profound insights into the nature of reality, consciousness, and human existence. In today's fast-changing, technology-driven, and often turbulent world, revisiting Vedanta becomes especially relevant and timely. Vedanta today invites us to explore how the eternal wisdom of the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and the Advaita can illuminate contemporary challenges in ethics, leadership, education, ecology, and inner well-being. We are truly honored and privileged to have with us tonight one of India's most respected elder statesmen and profound thinkers, Dr. Karan Singh. A distinguished philosopher, scholar, author, and public intellectual, Dr. Karan Singh's lifelong engagement with Vedanta, Indian culture, and global harmony makes him the ideal person to speak on Vedanta today. His wisdom, grace, and deep understanding continue to inspire generations. This lecture is part of our ongoing endeavor to create meaningful dialogues between ancient Indian wisdom and modern thought. We hope this evening's talk will stimulate fresh perspectives, encourage reflection, and foster a deeper appreciation of our philosophical heritage. I am confident that Dr. Karan Singh's address will be enlightening, thought-provoking, and deeply enriching for all of us. I request all of you to give him your full attention and a warm round of applause as we invite him to deliver his talk. Once again, a very warm welcome to everyone present here this evening at Gulmohar, India Habitat Center. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. We are equally fortunate to have with us the co-convenor of the study circle, Professor Bindu Puri. Professor Puri is an eminent scholar of modern and contemporary Indian philosophy, as well as moral and political philosophy. Professor Puri has published more than 60 research papers and in the edited volumes and leading philosophical journals. He has written 4 major monographs. The most recent is Rabindranath Tagore, In an Enchanted World. She has also co-authored with Professor Mrinal Miri Gandhi for the 21st Century, Religion, Morality and Politics. Professor Puri is also a general editor of Springer Nature book series, Indian Philosophy Past and Present. I warmly invite Professor Puri to introduce us the theme of the lecture series.
So, it's really my honor to welcome you all to hear Dr. Karan Singh ji here for the 5th lecture of the study circle, which is on Vedanta today, which, as you know, is so needed in the world, because consider that as the wars are reducing the human, kind of world to a set of discourse, and the natural world, the oceans, to contested spaces, we see that Vedanta reminds us that reality is non-dual, it's Advait, and the non-divided consciousness is the source of everything that exists. And this is a reminder we all badly need. The theme which we have tried to promote, Professor K.G. Suresh and myself here, is this integrated vision of the cosmos which we find in Indian philosophy, where nature and man are one. Like I've said many times, this is not only in Indian philosophy. You do find, for instance, Herder speaking about how human beings are embedded in the natural world, and also, how climate influences vogue geist, or the spirit of a people. I'd like to just say two main points over here. One, why do we need to think from within our own mind? And number two, that is the Indian mind. Number two, what is it that the distinctive Indian mind is contributing to an understanding of the universe, which is so different from everything else. So why should we think from within our own mind, the Indian mind? You may think, like the African, Indonesian, Indian mind is so overwhelmed by Enlightenment modernity that we don't really need to think from within our mind. Well, consider what Enlightenment modernity has done to the planet. It's divided the whole planet between nature and man, and that's obviously a conclusion of its anthropocentric rationalism, and also the sense that the natural world is no longer an objective realm of values. And this is something that we need to again critically think about from within the Indian mind. And you think there's this rationalistic universalism, but as there's a famous Indian philosopher called K.C. Bhattacharya, who in 1928 itself wrote a piece called Swaraj in Ideas, where he said that is not universalism itself a process in the making? And the only thing truly universal is loyalty to our own ideals and openness to other ideals, not just taking them willy-nilly. That's a subjection of the mind, which leads to a shadow mind and a hybridization of ideas. And what is so distinctive about the Indian mind? What can it contribute so very specially? Well, it's the integrated cosmos. This whole idea of the connection between man and nature, you find it coming down from the age of the systems, and you find the porous walls between these two realities in Buddhism and Jainism continuing into modern Indian philosophy with people like Gandhi or Tagore and Sri Aurobindo very specially speaking about this kind of integration. Tagore says it gives so much to you because it is from nature that we get comprehensiveness of sympathy. And moving closer to what Dr. Karan Singh will be speaking about, if you see Sri Aurobindo in The Secret of... no. In The Secret of the Veda. So that's really... he speaks about how there is this worship of the gods, like gods of fire, rain, wind, dawn, and you live in the boundless presence of the divine. And he thinks this is indispensable, not just because of ritual, but because we need to have this kind of integrated knowledge. And this is the secret of the Ved. And this is what we are hoping. And we are looking forward to you to unpack. I know.
So just a minute longer, sorry. Yes, that's very true. Thank you, Professor Puri, for that introduction. We call Professor Puri as the Aristotelian efficient cause for the study circle due to the immense efforts she puts in to curate each session. Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Chandan Himpani, and it is my absolute privilege to introduce the distinguished speaker of this evening, Honorable Dr. Karan Singh Ji. Honorable Dr. Karan Singh Ji was born in 1931 as the Yuvraj of Jammu and Kashmir in Cannes, France, to Maharaja Hari Singh and to Maharani Tara Devi. He had a brilliant educational career in various academic institutions like the Doon School, Jammu and Kashmir University, and Delhi University, where he went on to also create a university record during his MA Political Science, and later went on to do his PhD on the political thought of Sri Aurobindo. He joined the Union Cabinet of Srimati Indira Gandhi in 1967. At the age of 36, the youngest person then to become a Union Cabinet Minister. In the cabinet for 10 years, he headed the ministries of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Health and Family Planning, Education and Culture. He was elected 4 times to the Lok Sabha from the Udhampur constituency in Jammu and Kashmir, and 4 times to the Rajya Sabha. In 1989, he was appointed as the Indian ambassador to the United States and was India's member on the UNESCO's governing board for 8 years. He chaired the Auroville Foundation for more than 20 years. He has been conferred with the Padma Vibhushan by the Government of India for his valuable contributions. Dr. Singh is recognized as an outstanding thinker in India and abroad and has written 20 books on eclectic subjects, including the environment, the interfaith movement, and on Vedanta. I would now like to request Honorable Dr. Karan Singh Ji to finally address the August gathering. Thank you.
Professor K.G. Suresh, Chairman of India Habitat Center. It's always a pleasure to come here I remember when Stein was building this magnificent complex, brick by brick, I saw him building it. And it came up as one of the major complexes in the capital. So, Bindu Puri, JNU, I was Chancellor of JNU for 5 years, and it's a pleasure to see you. And I'm so happy that you're having this series, the IHC and ICPR series of talks. It's a good thing that people come not merely to relax and to have a drink and so on, but to really try and understand and listen to certain things. So distinguished members of the audience, Professor Miri is here, and a lot of other people whom I know in the audience, and the young friends, this young man who just introduced me, thank you very much. We live in an age of turmoil and transition, when the old is collapsing and the new is struggling to be born. And we find ourselves precariously poised between a disappearing past and an indeterminate future. All the old landmarks have collapsed. All those laws and those ideas that we thought were permanent have turned out to be evanescent. And so we are in a very exciting period of human history. Because when things are static, there's nothing very much that you can do. But when there's this ebullience, as it were, then it is a good time to try and put forward some ideas. And this is a time when we look back to our spiritual heritage. Not in order to go back in time, let me make it clear. Time moves only in one direction. Charaiveti, charaiveti, as the Rig Veda says. We've got to move forwards. But we can look into our scriptures to see whether we can get there, the inspiration, the courage, and the encouragement that we need to deal with the problems that we face. And Hinduism has perhaps the richest repository of scripture of any religion in the world. It goes back thousands of years. You have the magnificent Vedas, and then you have the Upanishads, and you have the Puranas and so on. But what I would like to say is that if you were to liken the whole Himalayas to the Vedas, then the Upanishads are those peaks clad in eternal snow, which you see when you fly from here to Calcutta. Because the Himalayas are very special to us. In fact, Kalidas opens, as you know, his Kumar Sambhava. Astutyarasyam dishi devatatma Himalayo nam nagade raja purvaha paroto yanidhi vagahya sitaha prithivya iva managanta. Himalayas is the only measuring rod for the greatness of the world. So in those Himalayas, you have these great mountain peaks. And that is really what the Upanishads are. The Vedas have 4 points, they are the 4 parts. They are the hymns to various gods and goddesses, beautiful hymns. Sri Aurobindo has given them a spiritual interpretation. Then there are the Brahmanas, which are instructions to the people who are doing the actual yajna. Then there are the Aranyakas, when they start moving into the forest. And then finally, there are the Upanishads, which are the high water mark of Indian, if not world philosophy. The Gita is not really the high water mark of Hindu philosophy, although many people think it is. It is a derivative text. The real fundamental texts are the Upanishads. And those are the texts which I'd urge those of you who want to study Hinduism, don't start with the Gita, start with the Upanishads. Because without understanding the Upanishads, you cannot grasp the Gita. Now there are many Upanishads, 108 supposed to be, but there are 10 or 11 principal Upanishads upon which Adi Shankaracharya has commented. And they are looked upon as the so-called principal Upanishads. Now the word Upanishad also has 2 meanings. Upanishad can mean sitting around. When teacher sits and teaches and the students sit around him. By the way, our culture is to sit and speak, not stand and speak. Standing and speaking is a curious Western anomaly because the Socratic, वहाँ ठंड होती थी तो गर्मी थी वो ठंड लगती थी. They could walk up and down the Colosseum. They were known as the peripatetic philosophers because they walked all the time. In India, the one who is speaking sits and the one who is listening also sits. इसलिए ये आप बैठ के बात करा करो फिर साहब. And that is one meaning. The other meaning of the Upanishad means the secret doctrine. Secret not in the sense of it being underground, but because it is not a doctrine that everybody can understand. And therefore, obviously, it is limited to those who have prepared themselves for the Upanishads. And they are brilliant, inspiring texts. I mean, Upanishads are so full of content that it's almost impossible to encapsulate them. And one thing I find extraordinary is that as we go on now, the teachings of the Upanishads are becoming more relevant, not less. This I find very interesting. And what I will try and do today is to try and understand some of the basic concepts of the Upanishads. And I'll place before you 6 concepts, very, very briefly, because each one can sustain a whole lecture by Professor Miri. But I'll make it very. The first is, you've got to understand, if you want to understand Vedanta, you've got to understand 2 basic concepts. The first is the all-pervasive Brahman. The Brahman, that is the power not only of this tiny atom that we call the earth, but the billions and billions of galaxies. Akhanda mandalakaram vyaptam yena characharam. The power that illuminates everything that exists is known as the Brahman. That is the spiritual or the power that illuminates all existence. That's the first concept. The second concept is the Atman. That is, if you like, the reflection of the Brahman in the individual. Because if it wasn't reflected, we couldn't grasp it. So this Brahman, if it is all-pervasive, it must pervade us also. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshe tishtati. The Lord resides in the heart of all beings. Therefore, the Atman within us is often translated as the soul, although the soul has a different, so I'm not going into the Western terminology, slightly different ambience. So the all-pervasive Brahman and the Atman within each individual, regardless of caste or creed or sex or religion or language or nationality. In each individual there is the Atma. And the whole point of our endeavor is joining the Atman and the Brahman. Joining. Yukta. The word yoga comes from the same word root as the English word to yoke, to join. Yoga is that which joins. So yoga is that which joins the Atman and the Brahman. Now, there are many methodologies of this joining, but and there are many theories about how they relate to each other. Adi Shankaracharya is not the only theory of Advaita. There is the Vishishta Dvaita and the Dvaita, which are also Vedanta. So some people think that Vedanta means only the Shankara theory. That's not true. The Vedanta, many great gurus, like Madhvacharya and Vallabhacharya, they have also worked to a great extent on the Upanishads. Now, how do we join the Brahman and the Atman? There are several ways. There are 4 main ways. The first way is the Jnana Yoga, through the mind. Thinking, contemplating, Sata Sat Viveka, trying to realize the difference between that which is changeable and that which is not changeable. This would be the way of Plato, perhaps, who thought about things. Remember what Plato says, all we see are shadows thrown on the wall. We neither see the light nor do we see the actual objects. So this is the Jnana Yoga, the way of the mind. Because the mind has got endless possibilities. There are so many commentaries on the Vedas, and there are so many different ways one can approach it. So that is one way, important way of joining the Atman and the Yoga, the Jnana Yoga. Then there's the Bhakti Yoga, the way of the heart. You see, the Jnana Yoga is up here. But unless your heart, your emotion moves, unless your heart opens in love and devotion to your divine, it won't work. It's like a two-engine airplane, you can't fly on one engine. So the Bhakti, the devotion, that is why I have this magnificent array of gods and goddesses. लोग पूछते इतने देवी देवता क्यों हैं? इसलिए हैं. Everybody has a different approach. You can choose whichever one you like. This is the only religion in the world that gives you a choice. Every other religion says, no, यही है, मेरा ही आदमी है, मेरा ही जो अवतार है, ये मेरा पैगम. लेकिन not so in Hinduism. आप जिसको मर्जी चुनिए, आप देवी चुनिए, देवता चुनिए, male, female, a man or a woman, a boy or a girl, zoomorphic deities like Hanuman and Ganesh are the most popular deities in Hinduism. So this Bhakti Yoga is tremendously important. Because without your heart opening, baat banti nahi. You have to fall in love with the divine. That's the only parallel I can give. Falling in love. So the mind thinks. The heart feels. The third is the Karma Yoga of the arms. They work. Without working, without doing something creative, you can't live. But not all work is Karma Yoga. Throwing bombs on Tehran is not Karma Yoga. It's very Kukarma Yoga. But the thing is that, but all work is not Karma Yoga. Work dedicated to the divine is Karma Yoga. For example, Atma Tvam Girijamati Sahasara Pranaha Shariram Griham Puja Te Vishayopabhog Rachana Nidra Samadhi Sthiti Sancharaha Padayoho Pradakshana Vidhi Stotrani Sarva Giroho Yat Yat Karma Karomi Tatat Akhilam Shambho Davaradaram. I am a worshipper of Shiva, therefore whatever I do I offer to him, including this talk. So Karma Yoga is work which is done in the sense of dedication to the divine. That is why the Gita is so important. Because the Gita is the one text that stresses Karma Yoga. It's a Karma Yoga Pradhan. The Upanishads are Jnana Yoga Pradhan. The Puranas are Bhakti Yoga Pradhan. The Gita is Karma Yoga Pradhan. So you have the Jnana Yoga of the mind, the Bhakti Yoga of the heart, the Karma Yoga of the arms. And then you have the Raja Yoga of the breath, the Shwas. What do we do when we are born? We take a first breath. And what do we do when we die? We breathe our last. So breath is with us from before birth all up to death. And breath carries within it the secret of immortality. I'm not going into the details of Raja Yoga. There are many philosophies. There's the Kundalini Yoga, there's Zen, you can do 101 different things. But the breath is essential. Have all of you ever sat back quietly for 5 minutes and watched yourself breathe? I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands. I don't want to embarrass you. 5 मिनट बैठो घड़ी लगा के जरा श्वास को देखो अपने श्वास को बहुत कुछ दिखेगा आपको may not all be pleasant, what you see. ये ज़रूरी नहीं है कि आनंद ही हो, कष्ट भी हो सकता है, लेकिन देखो, अपने अंदर देखो, श्वास को देखो, श्वास में निहित है. The breath contains the secret to immortality. And that is where so many yogas are so important. So I've told you 4 types of yogas: the Jnana Yoga, the Bhakti Yoga, the Karma Yoga, and the Raja Yoga, the Royal Yoga. Even the Gita says that is the Royal Yoga. And so these are 4 methodologies of joining the Atman and the Brahman. I hope I've made these clear, because they are 4 different technologies, as it were. But all of them are essential, and they are not mutually exclusive. आप एक कह सकते हो, 2 का, अभी तक घोर कलियुग है, चारों चाहिए हमें. हमें कुछ ज्ञानी भी होना है, कुछ भक्ति भी करनी है, कुछ कर्म भी करना है, और कुछ राजयोग भी करना है. चारों we should do all 4. You need, you only do one. You might prefer one, that's a different matter. But you can do all of them. So this is the basic structure of Vedanta. The all-pervasive Brahman, the Atman within each human being, and the 4-fold methodology of joining the two. That is, to my mind, the essence of Brahman. And you may notice that this covers the intellectual, the emotional, the physical, and the psychic being. All 4 dimensions of the human personality. The intellectual, the emotional, the physical, and the psychic. These are 4 elements of the human being, and all of which are encapsulated in these 4 yogas. So, I've told you 3 things. I said I was going to tell you 6 things. 3 तो हो गए. Brahman, Atman और Yoga. अब और आगे चलिए. The world as a family. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Ayam Nija Paroveti Gananam Laguchetasam Udar Charitanam tu Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This is mine, that is yours, is a small and narrow way of looking at things. For those of the higher consciousness, Vasudha Eva Kutumbakam. Nothing to do with Krishna. Many people mispronounce it, particularly here in Delhi. कोई वासुदेव कहता है, nothing to do with Vasudev. It's Vasudha Eva Kutumbakam. Vasudha means the world, Eva alone, Kutumbakam is the family. So the world itself is a family. What a great concept. I was just reading the other day those people coming back from outer space. When they looked at the earth, they didn't see any barriers. They saw no countries. They saw no religion. They saw no race. They just saw one unified entity. That unified entity we have in Hinduism and accepted as Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. I think this is such an important concept in the present day and age that it cannot be overemphasized. Because what we have done, as you said, I think in your introductory remarks, we have cut the world up into pieces. And look at what is happening in the world today. I mean, it's chaos. We thought we had come out of the age of Western imperialism. On the East, it's continuing. Iran is being bombed. Iran is an ancient civilization like India's. It's being bombed day in and day out. The Palestinians who were so close to us, they've been massacred. What is this? Is this what we are moving towards? That is why I don't speak too much of the evolutionary philosophers any longer. Because the concept that humanity is moving towards the higher level, I'm afraid, is not being borne out. With due deference to Sri Aurobindo and Tayyad Sharda and everybody else, हम तो नीचे जा रहे लगते हैं. Where is the evolution? Yes, technology has evolved, there's no doubt about it. Extraordinary developments. Now artificial intelligence is a new input. But I don't think as human beings we've evolved. Look at the amount of rage and hatred there is today in the world. रशिया यूक्रेन भिड़े हुए हैं 4 साल से, हजारों लोग मर गए, बोल ही नहीं रहा, सब मस्त बैठे. ये जो पैलेस्टाइन वाले से हमने कितनी मदद इनको की. I knew Yasser Arafat personally. I've met him in Beirut. He was the leader of the Palestinians. आजकल कोई पैलेस्टीनियन के साथ किसी को हमदर्दी नहीं है. 650 कितने मारे गए हैं, 650, 6500 कितने पैलेस्टीनियंस मारे गए हैं. किसी को दर्द है इंडिया में? कोई नहीं. मरते हैं तो मरने दो. ये तो हमारी हालत हो गई है. So, Vasudev Kutumbakam, you got to rediscover. You got to rediscover the unity of humanity. You got to rediscover, otherwise this planet is due for destruction and will be destroyed, maybe in our lifetimes, maybe a little later, I'm not sure. But the way we are going, we're going towards certain destruction. That is. Now, the next point. Ekam sat vipraha bahuda vadanti. The essential unity of all religions. It's a Rigvedic phrase. The truth is one. The wise call it by many names. Ekam sat. Truth is one. It is bahuda vadanti, spoken in many ways. The wise speak of it in many ways. Now this is also so important. How many millions and millions of people have been massacred in history in the name of religion? My God, your God, my God is better than your God, yours is the false God, mine is the true God. What is this? If there is a divinity, some people are no longer believing in a divinity, but if there is a divinity, it cannot be different for 8 different people. इस कमरे में जैन भी बैठे होंगे, बौद्ध बैठे होंगे, ईसाई बैठे होंगे, मुसलमान बैठे होंगे, तो अलग अलग उनके लिए ब्राह्मण है क्या? नहीं है. If there is such a power, it has to be the same. And that is what we have grasped in our culture. Ekam sat vipraha bahuda. I did a series for this Sansad Sachivalaya. I don't know whether any of you saw it. I don't suppose it was for the common man, not for the Bhadralokas. But lakhs of people saw it. I presented each of the 8 religions of India through their spokesman. I invited the representatives, introduced them. They spoke about their own religion. This went on TV for a year and a half. So this is something we must stress. Our own country was partitioned on the basis of religion. 3 टुकड़े हो गए भारतवर्ष के धर्म के नाम पे. So I don't like शगाफ फिर से बढ़ रहा है. I must warn you. Again there's a thing growing in society between Hindus and Muslims. It is not good. We've already suffered once. I come from a Muslim majority state, for God's sake. I mean, if you talk to Hindu Muslim, what do you do to JNK Kashmir? De doge. So please think clearly about these items. I'm not saying that any religion is without dispute. हमारी भी गलतियां हैं, मुसलमानों की भी गलतियां, सबकी गलतियां हैं. नई गलतियां किसकी नहीं हुई हैं. लेकिन we mustn't let that come in the way of social harmony. That has been disastrous, that will be disastrous if it ever happens again. I don't think it will happen again, but you never know. And this brings me to this point, is the interfaith movement. 1893 in Chicago, the first Parliament of the World's Religions took place. 1993, the Chicago group again became active. And from then on, every 5 years, we've had world religions, parliaments of world religions. So the interfaith movement seeks to bring together people of different religious understanding. Not a Shastrarth. Shastrarth try to prove which is better, which is worse. ये Shastrarth नहीं है. ये विवाद संवाद है. This is a dialogue. समझने की कोशिश करो. क्या कारण है? Why do people think like this? What happens? And so I had a interfaith organization, I must tell you, Professor Suresh, called the Temple of Understanding India Foundation. And I try and bring together people. We have functions from time to time. I'd be happy to have one in Habitat Center if you would have me. And we can have that function. So the interfaith movement and Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vedanti is very important. And the sixth and final concept I want to put before you. कितना टाइम दिया था आपने मुझे? नहीं बोला. मैं तो सारी रात बोलता रहूँगा. Be careful. The sixth and last concept is Bahujana Sukhaya, Bahujana Hitaya. The welfare of the many, the happiness of the many. What better prayer can they be? In my Rajya Sabha farewell speech, D. Raja, a good friend of mine, CPM, बैठे थे. मैंने कहा आपका कोई सोशलिस्ट, डू यू हैव अ बेटर definition? Professor साहब भी सोशलिस्ट है. Do you have a better definition than Bahujana Sukhaya, Bahujana Hitaya? The welfare of the many, the happiness of the many. What a beautiful phrase. That's what we must work for. Poverty eradication. Even today there are millions of people who shiver in the winter, who are drenched in the monsoon, who tarso in the summer, who don't have enough clothes. There are millions of children, even today born, who grown up distorted in mind and body because of insufficient inputs. So until we get rid of poverty, we cannot call ourselves a great nation. जब तक लाखों लोग गरीब हैं, हम अपने आप को बड़ा नहीं कह सकते. कह सकते हैं, but we will not be a great nation. We will not be looked upon as a great nation if our people are some of our, whatever, howsoever small. We have grown a lot. I have seen India for the last 75 years. I'm older than India. I'm not impressed with 75 years. मैंने सब देखा है. मैंने अंग्रेज़ों का झंडा भी देखा at this राष्ट्रपति भवन. I've seen the Union Jack flying. मैंने अपने पिताजी का झंडा भी देखा अपने स्टेट पे. I've seen it. And we've grown tremendously. There's no comparison between what we were when Jawaharlal ji was Prime Minister and which we are now when Narendra Modi is Prime Minister. All these years, how much we've grown. But we still have a long way to go. We are nowhere near the goal. And until we get to that goal, until we can say Bahujana Sukhaya, Bahujana Hitaya, we are not really great. So friends, what I've tried to do is to put together these important concepts for you to think about. You can read more about them if you like, whichever concepts interest you. Mind you, the path is not difficult, not easy. Difficult path, inner path. People asked me when I was on my 95th birthday, there was a lot of brouhaha, and how did you manage to keep your spiritual life going along with your political life? फिर पॉलिटिक्स चीज़ और है. मुझे लोगों ने कहा जब मैं आया कि अब आप आ गए हैं, अब आप कैबिनेट में हैं, अब आप गीता पे लेक्चर नहीं कर सकते. मैंने कहा क्यों? मैं राज छोड़ के आया हूँ, धर्म छोड़ के तो नहीं आया हूँ. What is this nonsense? मैंने बोला. And I continue to speak. और जब तक शक्ति है, जब तक भगवान शंकर की कृपा है, बोलता रहूँगा. Because this is something I'm interested in. And people seem to be interested to listen to me. So what more do we want? Therefore, Rasta Kathin hai, let me again tell you. And therefore, I'm going to end with that famous verse that Swami Vivekananda used to always quote. That we should awake, arise, and stop not until the goal is reached. We've got to go across a difficult path, difficult and dangerous path. But that is the only way to go. There are no soft options left, my dear friends, either for individual salvation or for collective salvation. We've got to go across that difficult path And then only will we reach our goal. Uttishtata, Jagrata, Prapya Varan Nibodhata, Kshurasya Dhara Nishita Durataya, Durgam Pathasat, Kavayo Vedanti. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Singh, for that delightful and engaging discourse from which all of us can learn a lot. And apologies as I have to stand and speak as the Western tradition says. With that, we close the session. And as is often said, Anta Asti Prarambha. There are no ends but only beginnings. And on that thought, I would like to request the Director of India Habitat Center, Professor K.G. Suresh, to open the floor for the beginning of the Q&A session.
Thank you. The floor is now open for questions.
Chaliye. I thought I'd finished with university. But chalo, bolo. I'm ready, Ravi.
Yeah, please. Somebody can pass on the mic.
हाँ जी.
दूसरे से इस्लाम है, ज्यूज है, वो है, ये इनका क्या वर्णन आता है आपके उपनिषद में, वेदांत में, गीता में, रामायण में, भागवतम में? और अगर आया है, उनको किसी भी विद्याधर, गंधर्व, किन किन नामों से आया है, मुझे नहीं मालूम है. इतनी क्लैरिटी आपको देख करके विश्व को यहाँ सुनना चाहिए और मानना चाहिए. और कोई भी जो है, कोई भी धर्म है या बिलीफ है या ओपिनियन है, उनके जो भी लोग हैं, हम तो सुनने में है इस्लाम 1500 साल पुराना है, हम तो 4 साल 32 लाख, हमारा त्रेता है, सतयुग है, द्वापर है, हम इतने पुराने, तो उनको बैठा के बोले भाई तुम हमारे ही हो. एक बड़े भाई ने छोटे भाई को डांट दिया तो छोटा भाई चल गया, मैं तो आकाश से आपकी बात ही नहीं सुनूंगा. अब ये है, तो ये जो चीज़ें हैं, आपके जैसे लोग जब तक आपकी बातें हैं तब उसको जरा आगे बढ़ा करके काम करना है. आपने तो खुद ही कह दिया है डिफिकल्ट है
क्या किया जाए. Easy ladies है यहाँ. Yes, Mandira.
Yeah, thank you. Out of 4 paths, which is the most difficult path to attain, you know what, salvation?
Well, that really
Out of the four-
that really varies from our sanskaras, from person to person. You cannot lay down which is more difficult. All are very difficult. But which one is the most difficult, you will have to decide for yourself. जिसमें आपको ज़्यादा कठिनाई हो.
Thank you so much, sir. I still remember around 25 years back, your lecture on Vivekanand inspired me to study Vivekanand very deeply, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. And I always learn something from you. 2 questions, sir. You mentioned that Upanishads are sacred doctrine, okay? Upanishads are sacred doctrines, sir, okay? In the starting.
Sacred doctrines.
Yes.
Secret doctrines.
Secret.
And they are
yes,
sacred doctrines.
Secret. But on the other hand, you said that Vivekananda was the first one who challenged the concept of kitchen religion. Okay. I read from your kitchen
There's no
religion.
kitchen religion in the Upanishads.
Yes. That's something
वो
like
सब पुराणों में और उसमें ये जो संहिता वगैरह
yes,
उसमें है.
fine. Now, how Vedanta today is different from the practical Vedanta of Swami Vivekananda? Okay. He says that Vedanta must be, his in own words, intensely practical. If failed to address the problems of empirical people, then it will be intellectual gymnastic that is delivered in 18 November 1896, sir. So I just want your view, sir, how Vedanta today is the advancement of that practical Vedanta. It is just a modification, sir.
Well, Vedanta really has to be interpreted by each one of us according to the situation that is there. You mentioned kitchen religion. Vivekananda was absolutely right. I mean, all these ridiculous taboos and chhuachut and all is nonsense. In the Upanishads, there is no such thing. In fact, let me tell you the story of not Shvetaketu the. There's this man who went to the Guru and said, I want to become your disciple. The Guru said, from which this do you come, tradition do you come? He went back and asked his mother, which is our tradition? She said, Beta, when I was young, I served many people. I do not know who your father is. I do not know what our tradition is. He went back to the Guru and said, Guru, this mother told me this. We do not know who our tradition is. Now his response was very good. He said, you have spoken the truth. I'll take you in as a student. So there was no business at which whether you come from this city or that city, it's a great thing. So the Upanishads, I think, have to be interpreted by each one of us according to the requirements of the age. And I don't know what your profession is, whatever it is, how you're going to get Vedanta into it, you will have to decide. But whatever you may do outwardly, inwardly, this will give you great strength. If you study the Upanishads, you will get a lot of inspiration. These are inspirational texts. Vedaham etam purusham mahantam aditya varanam tamasapparara. I have seen that great being shining like a sun beyond the darkness. They don't talk about other people's experiences. I have seen. Vedaham etam purusham mahantam. The Rishi says he has seen. That is what's so extraordinary about the Upanishads. They are direct from the source of wisdom. That boy wants to do something.
प्रणाम सर, आपने भारत और दुनिया में जो संघर्ष आज हैं, समस्याएं, उस पर बात करी।
कौन बोल रहा है?
और वेदांत के और वेदांत के सिद्धांत को इसमें सुधार के लिए सहायक बताया। सर, सिद्धांत के स्तर पर हमें ये चीज़ें ठीक लगती है, पर अगर हम इसे व्यावहारिक जगत में लाना चाहें, इसे धरातल पर उतारना चाहें, तो आपके जीवन के अनुभव से आपको क्या लगता है कि व्यक्ति के तौर पर, समाज के, राष्ट्र के तौर पर हम क्या चीज़ें हमारे व्यवहार में लाएं ताकि जो संघर्ष हैं और जो समस्याएं हैं उनका निराकरण हो सके? धन्यवाद।
शुरू करूँ तो, लेकिन मैंने तो ये देखा कि मुझे तो जीवन में उपनिषद पढ़ने से बड़ा लाभ हुआ है। क्योंकि एक तो जब आपको आश्चर्य होगा, जब बहुत शोरगुल मचता था ना पार्लियामेंट में, मैंने माला रख रखी थी। मैं सीट के नीचे माला जपता रहता था। मैंने कहा ये लोग चिल्लाते रहे, मैं तो कम से कम अपना भविष्य देखूं। सो वेर एवर यू आर, चाहे आप शोरगुल में बैठे हैं, चाहे आप एकांत दफ्तर में बैठे हैं, आप उसका लाभ उठा सकते हैं। मैं तो यही कहूँगा। अब क्या होगा क्या नहीं होगा, इसके विषय में आप सबको अपना निर्णय करना पड़ेगा।
सर, आदरणीय सर, मेरा प्रश्न यह है, भारत में आजकल दो मुख्य समस्याएं हैं, एक कास्ट कॉन्फ्लिक्ट और दूसरा रिलीजियस कन्वर्जन। कास्ट कॉन्फ्लिक्ट को अगर हम रिजर्वेशन से लिंक करें तो जैसे जैसे रिजर्वेशन के रूप में उसका सलूशन दिया गया, वैसे वैसे प्रॉब्लम बढ़ती जा रही है। एससी, फिर ओबीसी, अब और टाइप का रिजर्वेशन। तो कास्ट कॉन्फ्लिक्ट और रिलीजियस कन्वर्जन दोनों को वेदांत फिलॉसफी में अप्लाई करके कैसे हम उसका सलूशन ढूंढ सकते हैं?
कास्ट तो वाकई बहुत गूढ़ है हमारे देश में। बहुत कोशिशें की जा गई थी इनको निकालने के लिए, लेकिन ये वर्ण व्यवस्था हटती नहीं है। क्या किया जाए? यानी सो मेनी बड़े बड़े जो विचारक थे, राजा राम मोहन रॉय से लेके बंगाल के जो द ग्रेट क्रूसेडर्स, ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर, केशव चंद्र सेन, एंड देन यू हैड Lala Lajpat Rai and the whole Arya Samaj, and they've all tried to get rid of caste. लेकिन कास्ट नहीं छोड़ता। क्या करें? वो एक कहानी है हमारे कश्मीर की, बताऊँ आपको। एक दरिया के किनारे बैठे हुए थे तो एक कंबल बहता हुआ आया, गुजर लगाते हैं ना काला कंबल। तो एक बहुत अच्छा तारी था, उसने कहा भाई तू कंबल जा रहा है। तो वो जब गया, वो निकला रीछ, वो गोट पोट होने रहे थे। इसने कहा छोड़ यार कंबल, आ जा। उसने कहा मैं तो छोड़ता हूँ, अभी कंबल नहीं छोड़ता है मुझे। तो ये हम तो छोड़ते हैं वर्ण व्यवस्था को, ये नहीं छोड़ता हमें। क्या किया जाए? बढ़ता जा रहा है। रमन महर्षि, ये सारे बड़े बड़े जो जितने महापुरुष हुए, किसी ने वर्ण व्यवस्था की बात नहीं की, लेकिन फिर भी गया नहीं अभी तक। मैं तो यही कहूँगा कि कभी वर्ण या धर्म का विरोध अपने दिल में नहीं रखना, सबको एक जैसा देखना चाहे, क्योंकि हर एक में आत्मा का निवास है। लुक अपॉन एवरीबॉडी एज इक्वली डिवाइन और इक्वली ह्यूमन। डू नॉट लेट रिलीजन or caste distort your consciousness. That's all I can say.
Thank you, sir. You have called yourself time and again a worshipper of Shiva. Thus, I wanted to seek a suggestion regarding something which has been bugging me since a while.
Mic
How
ऐसे
would you,
रखो. Only,
how-
only, only politicians know how to use a mic.
okay, sir.
ऐसे रखो ना मुंह के पास.
Ji, sir. So, how would you reconcile the Kashmir Shaivism of Abhinav Gupta with the thoughts of Vedanta? I understand of them stemming from different traditions of the Agam tradition and the Vedanta
Totally
tradition.
You see, Kashmir Shaivism, as you know, is a very special niche in Hindu philosophy. वो उपनिषद को भी नहीं मानते. They have their own Shiva Sutras. उनके बिल्कुल अतना है, but yet it is part of the Shiva tradition. I am much more associated with the Dakshin Bharata Shiv Siddhant tradition. जो नयन मार्स हैं, जो अप्पार है, सुंदरार है, मानिक वाचलम है, कणप्पन वगैरह ये सब है. I am much more closer to them than to Kashmir. I happen to come from Kashmir, but I am not a student of Kashmir Shaivism. Many people think, आप तो कश्मीर के हैं, आप कश्मीर. I am not a student of Kashmir. There are very, very learned Kashmiri Pandits. Some may be in this audience or not, I am not sure, who have written a lot of books and know a lot about them. कश्मीरी शैविज्म तो उनके पास जाना पड़ेगा आप. लेकिन शैव सिद्धांत के बारे में मेरे पास आई.
Yes, sir. Sir, I just want to ask, like, yeah.
Who's
yeah,
speaking?
Here, sir.
हाँ.
Yeah, just a short question, sir. Like on the 6th point, on the last point, on the concept of welfare of the many and happiness of the many. So, like, how do we understand? Why not like happiness of all? Like, if you can throw some light on that.
Sorry?
Why not happiness of all, or like happiness, like welfare of all?
We have not been able to achieve that yet. Is that why you're asking why we have not been able to achieve it?
Like, I wanted to know, like, why welfare of the many, like, not why not welfare of all, like this. Yeah, the concept.
Why do we speak? Why do we speak about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's one
Yes,
way of
if you
putting it.
can- yeah.
Bahujana Sukhaya, you can say all. Sarvajana Sukhaya.
So this
Sarvajana
many
Hitaya.
would be like.
You change the first word, make it Sarvajana Sukhaya, Sarvajana Hitaya, if you like.
Okay, thank you.
problem. Well, you're right. Technically, it should be Sarvajana Sukhaya, not Bahujana Sukhaya. I agree. You're right.
Sir, I learned that you passed out of Doon School in 1945.
Oh,
I happen to be 30 years your junior.
okay.
And your father contributed money to set up the Jammu Kashmir house there, one
I
of the
know.
hostels.
And
So
I didn't get a decent meal for 4 years.
Things have changed, sir. Things have changed a lot. But I was speaking to ex-Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi when he came in 1985 to the school at the Golden Jubilee. And he said, be grateful to the King of Kashmir, Raja Hari Singh, that I am from Jammu Kashmir House. And what I have learned here in the Doon School, I have not learned anywhere else outside. So I just want to ask you one thing specifically. You mentioned about the snow-clad peaks. Upanishads are like, I'm not a politician,
Yes,
sir,
the
so the
Upanishads-
mic is not in correct position. The snow-clad peaks that you mentioned about the Upanishads,
Yes.
and we must be able to grasp that before we can learn the Gita, the full meaning of the Gita. Sir, I tell you, every time I hear a discourse on the Gita, there's a new meaning that comes to light. It depends on the preacher's emphasis, and we hear something new.
Of course.
So if we are going to learn the Upanishads first, there will be a whole new dimension of millions or more new things coming from the Gita.
Yes.
Just thought of your observation on that, sir.
Well, I think, if you have read the Upanishads, the Gita becomes more easily graspable. Gita is very different because Gita is a Smriti. It is a Purana. And therefore the whole style is different there. But it's a very powerful text, the Gita, there's no doubt about it. It is not my intention at all in any way to downgrade the Gita.
No, no.
I'm simply saying that the Upanishads are really the supreme text. That's all I'm saying.
So like the gentleman said at the first time, you must give a discourse every day for some time to bind this population together.
That's what I suggest.
Thank you. And thank you, Professor Bindu Puri, for inviting me for this.
The lady where?
गुड इवनिंग सर, मेरा नाम पूर्णिमा है।
बेटा जोर से बोलो।
मेरा नाम पूर्णिमा है और मैं यूपी से हूँ, उत्तर प्रदेश से। सर, जैसे आपने बताया कि जब आप पार्लियामेंट में गए तो फिर सब लोगों ने बोला कि आपको गीता का उपदेश छोड़ देना चाहिए। तो मेरा क्वेश्चन उसी पे है कि जब हम मतलब जैसे हिंदुज़्म जैसे और अभी रिलीजन का जो डिस्कशन चल रहा है, उस पे मैं पूछना चाहती हूँ कि सेकुलरिज्म क्या अपने धर्म के साथ नहीं रह सकते?
क्या कह रहे हैं? हाँ, देखिए सेक्युलरिज्म, जहाँ तक मैं, माय डेफिनेशन ऑफ सेक्युलरिज्म इज, जो मैंने कहा, एकम सत विपरा बहुधा वदंती, द रिस्पेक्ट फॉर ऑल रिलीजन्स। इन कश्मीर जैसे हम अपने मंदिरों में जाते थे, हम मखदूम साहब भी जाते थे, बाबा ऋषि भी जाते थे, चरार शरीफ भी जाते थे। अगर दिल में कोई भेद नहीं है तो बाहर भी कोई भेद नहीं रहता। मैं कॉन्वेंट स्कूल में पढ़ा और सिख दरबार से तो हमारा परिवार उठा, उनका एहसान है, कभी भूल नहीं सकते। तो आई हैव बीन इंटरफेस फ्रॉम माय बर्थ एंड आई सजेस्टेड ईच वन ऑफ अस स्टे इन योर ओन फेथ बट डू नॉट हेट और डेनिग्रेट अदर फेथ्स। वो अपना करें, आप अपना करें।
थैंक यू सर।
Sir,
I
have a very subtle observation that somewhere the larger society is lost in between religion, spirituality, and social identity.
Spirituality and social
Identity.
identity.
So that is where the tug of war in which three groups are happening. And we require education right from the ground up, social systems, so that these tug of wars are minimized. What's the viewpoint and how India can achieve it?
Well, it has to start with the educational system, I agree. That's a very difficult and a very complex area. How are we going to bring religious harmony into education? You see, secularism is often looked upon as anti-religious. It's not anti-religious. The whole point of secularism is that you accept, at least that is the way I interpret secularism. Some people may interpret it as anti-religion. The communists, for example, are deadly against religion. Fair enough. They can have their view. But that's not my secularism. Last question. ठीक है जी, आप बताने वाले हैं।
That's the last question. Between four Veds and Upanishads, which set you will put on a higher pedestal?
Between
Four Veds and the Upanishads.
the Upanishads are part of the four Veds. They are not separate. As I said, the Vedas have four parts. Upanishad is the Vedanta, the end of the Vedas. They come at the end of the Vedic collection. That's why they're known as Vedanta. So there's no difference. They're not separate.
Thank you. Yeah.
वो एक आदमी बेचारा खड़ा है बड़ी देर से। नहीं, आप नहीं, पीछे।
सबसे पहले सर मैं आपको प्रणाम करना चाहूँगा और गीता के श्लोक से ही मैं आरंभ करूँगा कि ब्रह्मा अर्पण ब्रह्म हवि ब्रह्माग्नो ब्राह्मणा होतम ब्रह्मे व्येण गंतव्यम ब्रह्म कर्मा समाधिना। कृष्ण कहते हैं कि हम ही ब्रह्म हैं और ब्रह्म में ही हमें लीन होना है। फिर मैं तैत्तिरीय उपनिषद के उस वाक्य से आऊँगा, सत्यम ज्ञानम अनंत ब्रह्मा, ब्रह्म ही अल्टीमेट रियलिटी है। बट आज हम वर्चुअल रियलिटी और आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस के लिए आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, उसमें लड़ रहे हैं। तो आज के युवाओं को, मोस्टली जेनजी के लिए आपका क्या उपदेश रहेगा कि कैसे वो वेदांता को अपने जीवन में जो डिस्ट्रेस है, डिप्रेशन है, उसके उपचार के लिए प्रयोग में लाएं?
बहुत बहुत कठिन है। देखिए आजकल द यूथ आर अंडर ग्रेट प्रेशर बिकॉज नौकरी मिल नहीं रही है और नौकरियां घट रही हैं, बेरोजगारी बढ़ रही है। दैट इज़ द रियल प्रॉब्लम ऑफ द यूथ. So they are very depressed, I understand. And if you just talk the Upanishad to them, they'll say this is nonsense, this is nothing to do with us. लेकिन अगर उनको समझाया जाए कि भाई ये है इसका तत्व, तो शायद उनको कोई ना कोई लाभ हो सकता है। लेकिन ये सारा हमारी शिक्षा पद्धति ना, AI, Mr. Suresh, you are also a teacher, is another strange thing. if a reply comes, you do not know whether the student has written it or whether the machine has written it. अब मैं बोल रहा हूँ, कुछ देर के बाद मेरे बजाय आप मशीन को बैठा लोगे, वही बोलेगा वेदांत में. तो क्या किया जाए? आजकल नए नए हालात बन रहे हैं, जूझना पड़ा. We have to address them to the best of our capacity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Singh, for your patient handling of all our concerns and queries. I would now like to invite the Director of India Habitat Center, Professor K.G. Suresh, to sum up.
Thank you, Vijay. I have actually no words. I must say that it's one of those rarest hours in which I did not look at my mobile phone. I just did not feel like even taking it. I just wanted to just listen. I wish he could continue endlessly. We have only heard about Raj Rishis. And here is a prince, politician, and a scholar par excellence who enlightened us, deconstructed the entire concept of Vedanta to us in such a simple language with so many examples. I mean, I'm not going to forget the definition of Bhakti Yoga as falling in love with the divine. I'm not going to forget Karma Yoga as work dedicated to the divine, and he, as when it came to interfaith harmony, I was reminded of Swami Vivekananda's famous 1893 address to the World Parliament of Religions, where he talked about, when he talked about universal brotherhood, he said that it's not about tolerance or tolerating each other. It's about accepting that diversity. The entire focus was on acceptance. And I think that therein lies the solution to all the conflicts. And he certainly, as rightly pointed out, so patiently addressed all our concerns, including on something like caste, wherein he said that jati hai ki jati nahi, And absolutely, I mean, even the Western religions which came here, now they are all caste-ridden, whether it is Islam or Christianity. So that's how caste system works. But then he has also told us the way out. He has said that बहुत कठिन है डगरपन घट की, but it's not easy, but it's certainly not impossible. I'm sure with the guidance of Raj Rishis like him, we will be able to, tread that very difficult path. On that note, we hope that in the coming days we will get to listen to him more often at the India Habitat Center. So thank you. I have no words to thank you. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
We would like to extend our sincere thanks to each one of you for joining us this evening. As we draw close to the conclusion of today's program, a formal vote of thanks will be delivered by Sangeeta Gupta ji, who will convey our collective gratitude to distinguished dignitaries, dedicated organizers, and esteemed participants. Sangeeta ma'am.
The students to come here for the group photo, please.
Before we conclude, I have the honor to propose the vote of thanks. On behalf of the India Habitat Center, I express my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Karan Singh, for sharing his profound insights. His reflections have truly enriched today's discussion and deepened our understanding for Vedanta. I would like to express our sincere thanks to Professor Bindu Puri, Center for Philosophy, Jawaharlal Nehru University, for her valuable presence and contribution to this lecture series. We extend our sincere thanks to Professor Dr. K.G. Suresh, India Habitat Center, for his constant guidance, encouragement, and visionary leadership in making this initiative possible. We are thankful to the Indian Council of Philosophical Research for its continued support and collaboration. We also thank Mr. Sandeep Tandon, CEO Habitat World, and the Habitat Program Division team. We also acknowledge with gratitude Mr. Sandeep Kapoor, Deputy Director IHC, the finance team, Amanat sir, Geeta ma'am, and the HLRC team for their valuable efforts, as well as all staff, including the video and photography team and the technical and sound team. I thank all our distinguished guests and our esteemed audience, scholars, members, and students for their presence. Your engagement makes this discussion meaningful and impactful. Once again, my sincere thanks to everyone, and we look forward to your continued support in our future initiatives. Now, welcome, sir. Now, sir will be leaving, so please request you to kindly everyone ensure a smooth passage to him.